What's up, you guys? Welcome to another video in my Girl Boss Guide series. And thank you guys so much always for your love and support of this series. I've made several Girl Boss Guide videos so far on topics from how to budget to my most recent one was I talked about how I got in debt and my personal kind of financial journey. So we've done stuff like that, and then all kinds of topics. What else have I done? I'll link a few up here and I'll link them all in the description box down below for you guys if you've missed any, want to go check out any other topics. But this video today, you guys have requested. I posted a little Instagram story today asking you guys what you wanted to see most, and out of these 3 videos, which I will be doing all of these 3 videos, I think, this one was the one that most of you guys said you wanted to see first, and that is how to afford to travel and kind of my travel hacks. I take on average like at least 1 to 3 trips a month. I would say mostly like 2 trips on average a month, most months, and I've learned a lot that I want to share with you guys about my travel hacks. All right, let's first talk about my biggest travel website hacks, because I have 2 pretty big ones that I absolutely love, and I have personally just been through so many different websites for booking flights and booking travel and booking rental cars and all that, booking hotels. I used to use Expedia a lot, but I kind of later have realized that Expedia, well, it's great at helping you look at a bunch of different flight options and stuff. It doesn't necessarily like help so much with helping you find that really cheap travel that you can look at months in advance and all that kind of stuff, which is where I have absolutely loved and been so grateful for the website Skyscanner. Now, this is literally not sponsored by any means. This is just the website that I found from my friend Cameron, who does a ton of traveling and flying international travel, and this is a really great website he showed me. This is a hack that you guys have got to know if you are booking flights or booking international travel or travel in the US. I literally use this website. It's the first place I check every single time I book a flight, and what I love about it so much is that not only does it sort all the different flights by different airlines, so you can look at every single flight, but also, for example, like if you want to book the cheapest days to fly in a month, say like you're looking at the month of July and you're like, what would be the cheapest days to fly for my trip to LA or whatever? You can look at the whole month on Skyscanner and they will tell you actually the cheapest dates and the cheapest prices of tickets for every single airline in the entire month. Now, you can also look at specific dates if you have specific dates for your trip, but I love that so much because it seriously has saved me hundreds of dollars just going with, I've gotten a lot less picky about going with different airlines because I just like to get a nice deal, and I think a lot of us can probably relate to that, especially for traveling internationally. So another reason I love Skyscanner so much is because they'll actually let you put a price alert, so like a little bell on a flight or a month of traveling or a specific deal. So you'll like look up a flight and let's say round trip it's $300. When you look it up, you can put a price alert on that and put your email in, and they will actually email you if the price goes up or the price goes down every day, and you can turn the alerts off. I think you can also probably sign up to get a notification as opposed to an email, but whenever I have something, for example, like for the summer that I'm kind of looking at but I haven't bought tickets yet, I'll put a price alert on it on Skyscanner, and then whenever the price goes down, which a lot of times you'll look at a flight and then the next day it'll go down 30 or 40 bucks, and that's obviously such a better deal. So they'll email you things like that, and you can just keep up with the price, which I think is so nice, and you can book it when it's cheaper. Oh, and then also I know I definitely don't like to use any sketchy airline flight booking websites. So what I love also about Skyscanner is they'll give you the list of the prices, and then when you actually go to book the flight, it'll forward you from their website to the actual airline's website. So if I was looking at a Delta flight, once I actually go to book it and I see the price on Skyscanner, it'll forward me to the Delta website, which is where you would actually book your travel and get that price. So there's no like sketchy airline websites where you have to put in your information and you're like, what is this website? Like it's not one of those weird like cheap airline websites that like tries to save you money on flights. It actually just gives you all the prices of the airlines, and then you go on to the airline website when you're ready to book. So, all right, that brightness was getting a little crazy, so we toned her down. She was a little bit much on the weight balance. So I'll link Skyscanner down below for you guys. I know I talked about it a bunch, but it seriously has saved my ass, especially for international travel. You can stock the prices and put yourself on a nice little price alert. Also, there is websites that I don't personally use very much, but there's tons of websites that if you're looking to try and get really cheap, like actual airline deals for international travel, or something like a big trip, you can become a member and put your email in, and they'll kind of email you like a weekly list of the best deals for going to different cities and maybe going to Paris or Australia or something. So if you're looking to get a really good deal on that, you can always sign up for a website like that. I think a lot of them are free. Some of them you might have to pay for, but I would totally just do a free one. My next website that I have found, that courtesy of my mom, I'm pretty sure my mom told me about this website. It's called Rome to Rio. Rome and then the number 2 Rio. I'll also link it down below for you guys, and it's another free service. These are obviously both free services, if I didn't really mention that, but totally free websites to browse and to help you. Rome to Rio is really cool because it basically will tell you the route from one city or one place in the world to another one based off of all the different ways that you could get there. So for example, it'll tell you if there's a train, it'll tell you if there's a bus, it'll tell you if there's how much it's going to be to rent a car on average, and the flights. So for example, if I'm going from LA to San Francisco and I'm like, maybe I should take a train, maybe I should take a bus, maybe I should drive, or should I fly? It will give you all of those options and give you the prices. So it's kind of cool because I'll use that website a lot if I'm traveling. For example, like I went from Boise to Portland earlier this year by bus, which I don't really recommend the Greyhound, but she is a nice cheap option if you're just going from like one city to another and you really don't want to fly. You can always do like a bus or a train if you don't have a car, or you don't want to spend the gas, or you don't want to rent a car, because renting a car can definitely be expensive. So there are so many different options. Now the light's coming in again, but there are so many different options, and that's what I love about Rome to Rio. And they'll give you like the cheapest options that you might not even think of. For example, like taking a random train, that could actually end up being a lot cheaper than driving or taking a flight, especially if you're traveling in areas of like Europe, you're on like a European trip or whatever, you're abroad. That is going to be a great website to be able to map you from city to city and figure out the cheapest way to get there if you are traveling on a budget. So check out that website. And they also have an app. I have the app to Skyscanner and Rome to Rio. So a lot of times if I'm on the go or I'm already traveling, I can just pop it in there and I don't have to do it on my computer. So those are my 2 favorite. Feel free to comment down below any amazing travel websites that are free that you guys use. All right, I have a little list of my tips, so if you're wondering why I'm looking down, that is why. My next tip is to plan travel far in advance if you can, to allow time to save money, to research the cost of the plane tickets, hotels, Airbnb for where you want to take your trip. So obviously that's kind of a given. It's always gonna probably be a better option to start planning your trip in advance if you can, especially if you're taking a big international trip. What I would recommend most is getting the average flight prices. So let's say like maybe you want to go to Australia. You want to go to Australia and you're like, I would like to go to Australia in the fall time. First thing I would do is go on Skyscanner and research the flight prices and see what month is going to be the cheapest to fly to Australia, if you have flexibility like that. If you don't have flexibility like that, just look at whatever dates work for you. I would kind of get an example of what the flight prices are looking like. I would write that down. And then I would be like, okay, well, am I gonna stay in a hotel? Am I gonna stay in an Airbnb? And then I would look into the prices of hotels and Airbnbs in the area I wanted to stay. You guys know I have an Airbnb discount. I'm gonna plug that right now because seriously, it has helped out hundreds, if not thousands of you guys. I love seeing you using your Airbnb discount. I can't recommend it enough. I literally stay in an Airbnb every time I travel. I'm staying in one this week. I'll link it in the description box. You can get $40 off your first stay, which is amazing. I usually think Airbnb in general is cheaper than a hotel. Some places it might be around the same, but typically you can kind of search by the price on Airbnb, and I really like that you can kind of search and you can stay somewhere that's like not a hotel, and it might be somewhere really, really cool in like this location that you never would have ended up. So I love that, and I also love like the home feel of an Airbnb. A lot of times if you get one with a kitchen or you get like one with a cute balcony. It's like so much more fun, and I feel like you really are in the city as opposed to just staying in a hotel room. So I would just kind of look at your travel far in advance and do those things. Like I said, write down the prices of everything, try to think about your transportation, and I would just kind of, after you have your amounts that you're gonna be kind of spending, I would just start saving. Another tip I have is to try to be flexible for when flights are the most inexpensive. So you might hear people say traveling in the off season. So for example, like traveling in the summertime is when everybody travels. Also traveling at the holidays is gonna be more expensive, obviously. Like traveling at Christmas and Thanksgiving because more people are going home to see their families. Traveling at spring break is going to be more expensive. So there are these little off seasons. Like I would almost say like the time of April and May is like a nice spring off season before the summer starts. And then once you get to October, November, before Thanksgiving, that's also going to be a great time to travel. Typically you can fly international for really cheap in like October, November, a lot of places. Next tip is obviously you're gonna need some money for your trip. So what I would do and what I typically do when I'm saving for something fun, like a big trip, is to make a savings account or use a savings app. Specifically for your trip savings. And you can do this through, you can use Acorns, which is my favorite app for saving. I'll have my link down below. You can get $5 in your account for joining. I really love Acorns. You guys have heard me talk about it a zillion times, but that's kind of what I like to use when I'm saving for something. Like right now I'm saving for a car and I'm using Acorns because she's like tucked away in a little and she's growing money. So we love that. Make a separate savings account for your trip, or just dedicate your personal savings account that you hopefully already have to your trip money, and decide a good amount, whether it's a small amount or a big amount. Decide how much you'd like to put towards your travel fund every month or every paycheck whenever you get some money coming in. And with that being said, every time you put money into your account for saving for your trip, when you're putting away that money, visualize yourself on your freaking trip. Visualize yourself relaxing or exploring a new city, and visualize yourself like, hey, this is what I'm actually saving for. Like I know it might suck having to save right now for this because it's not happening yet, but really try to put that power of visualizing into your goal, and that I think is pretty powerful. It's just going to be so exciting when you have that money saved up to be able to go, even if it takes you a little while or even if it takes you a long while. Next thing is, you don't have to travel far or book international travel to have an amazing traveling experience and to take a trip. Like if you're on a budget, plan a road trip. Go around your state, go around your area, your country. Seriously, you don't have to fly somewhere across the world to have an amazing travel experiences. I have been to some of the most beautiful places just in this country alone, and I've been to cities that were 3-4 hours away from where I lived that were incredible experiences. And you really don't have to go to Paris or go to Australia to travel. You don't. And these are things that you can always do when you have more money or when you're more well established. And so if you are on a budget, I would really encourage you to get a group of friends, or even just if it's a solo road trip. Solo road trips can be so fun and amazing. Take a road trip or take a bus. You could take a Greyhound bus. There's so many things that you can do. Don't feel like you have to spend $500 or $1,000 on an international plane ticket, because you know, if that's the end goal, you really want to go to this one place, great, save for that, do it. But also, you don't have to take a flight to go somewhere amazing. So keep that in mind. Also, you can totally split, you know, the gas, the car, the hostel. I would definitely recommend, as opposed to Airbnb. I love a good Airbnb, but if you're really on a budget, you can always stay in hostels. There's hostels all over cities in the US. There's hostels all over Europe and other countries, so you can definitely stay at a hostel for a pretty cheap rate per night, and you can have a really good experience and meet other travelers and meet other people your age at a hostel. Yeah, I would just say if you can, split it with friends. You can always split the Airbnb, split the gas with friends, or you can take a bus or take a train and take a solo adventure. Okay guys, this next tip I have found is a game changer for traveling, because whenever I travel, I feel like half the money or most of the money I spend is on eating out, and that is fun to do, right? It's fun to go to new restaurants in the city that you're in, but it is also a money suck, okay? You won't have as much money to do other fun things on your trip besides just eating if you go out every meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then like snacks in between, right? So if you can, you guys, which you can definitely make it happen, I would say cook if you can, / bring your own food, buy your own food at a grocery store when you first get there. For example, like if you are staying at an Airbnb, that's one of the things I love is most Airbnbs typically should have at least a small kitchen space. You get a kitchen, like I would and you're staying somewhere for 5 days or a week, just get a few groceries. Don't go crazy, but get like, you know, get a few things that you can make for dinner and lunch and quick breakfast things, and that you don't have to go out for every meal, because a lot of times you might just wake up in the morning and be like, all right, it's time for breakfast, and then you go and spend 25-30 bucks on brunch, when if you had just had some eggs and toast or something in your Airbnb, you totally would have spent like what, 3, 4, 5 bucks and just had that stuff for the next few days. If you don't have a kitchen, you can obviously still bring snacks and bring food, but you're not going to be able to, you know, cook as much, obviously. But that is a big thing. Also, if you're staying in a hostel as opposed to an Airbnb, most hostels I think have a kitchen, so you can always cook in there. You can always heat something up in the microwave. Like, these are really simple things that you can do if you're on a budget and you don't have to go out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you are traveling. The last thing kind of goes along with that a little bit, and it is to do free things in the place that you're in, the city that you're in. There's really so much you can do that actually doesn't involve spending money. So you can do so many free things, like you can go to beaches, you can go to parks, you can obviously just walk around the city and not buy anything, you know what I mean? You can go explore art, and you can go walk in and window shop and all these kind of things. Go to the beach, go to the park, without feeling like you have to spend money to have fun. Also, I would say, you know, a lot of the times tourist attractions are usually overrated and they're usually overpriced. So that can be fun if you really have like 1 or 2 things that you've got to do. So pick maybe a couple things that you are going to be spending money on, like 1 or 2 things that are like your top things that you have to do and that you do want to spend your money on, whether it's going to a really cool restaurant or whether it's going to see, you know, going on the Space Needle in Seattle or something. Spend your money on those things, but don't do all these like huge tourist trap things like that you feel like every single day you're spending money on all this different stuff, because you really can do a lot of amazing things by just letting yourself go, not having a plan, just walking around the city and just wandering into cool spaces. So that is pretty much all my tips, you guys, without making this video insanely long. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really do hope it was helpful. Give it a thumbs up if you guys liked this video, and I will of course have those websites that I mentioned linked down below, as well as I'll have Acorns linked down below and also my Airbnb discount. I just wish you guys luck. I wish you guys the most amazing travels. Even if you fucking travel 2 hours away from where you live, like, hey, that is still an experience, that is still a trip. You don't have to go to the other side of the world, and you don't have to have thousands and thousands of dollars to experience amazing travel. So yeah, that's something that I've learned over the years, traveling this country more. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you so much, and I will see you very soon in another video.